law and made it much more far-reaching than just the physical act of taking something that's not yours. You understand these laws in their full spiritual intent, and it becomes a lot easier to be able to be like God, because God's law is what God is. And as we keep God's law and take that law into our minds and begin to practice what God teaches us to do, the 7 laws of success, the 10 commandments, we become like God. And that is the purpose of human life, so that we can become like God.
After carefully inspecting the new campsite, Mr. Armstrong talks to the campers and staff.
There's one thing terribly wrong with this camp. You know what it is? I've got one big criticism. It only lasts 3 weeks. It ought to last forever, if possible. Now, you're going to have problems when you get home. You'll find other kids your age aren't living like you learned to live here. Now, you've been tested on certain things here. Tightrope walking and some of the things you've done, and mountain climbing. Some things have tried your nerves, see if you've got the nerve to do it. And you'll be tried to see if you've got the nerve to stand up for what you learned here when you get home. You'll see about it. And just pray to God and ask Him to help you, and He will. Believe me, He will if you pray and ask Him. So remember, you've found a better way of living. Don't ever lose it. Don't ever forget it. Just keep it, and keep it forever. So all of you carry on. I feel greatly rewarded for I've come a long ways to come here and see you in this camp. It's a long ways from Pasadena, California here. It's been worth it. I'm glad I came, glad I saw you. I'm glad you had the fun you've had here. And I hope that many of you will come back next year. And just remember that what you've learned here, don't ever let it get away from you. So I'll just say goodbye with that.
If the negative influences of this world are to be combated, children must be given encouragement and the opportunities to develop their talents and potential. Through the Ambassador Foundation, Mr. Armstrong has made constructive contributions to the education of young people in many parts of the world. While visiting a school for Hill Tribe children in northern Thailand, on behalf of Mr. Armstrong, Dr. Herman Hay presented a gift and offered some words of encouragement. At Bunyat Special Education Center outside Amman, Jordan, several Ambassador College students have taken a year off from their studies to become teachers. After visiting the center, Mr. Armstrong saw that Ambassador College could help by providing technical aid to develop the facilities. Also, he decided to send several students who could help in the training of both the teachers and the handicapped children. In Jerusalem, Arab and Jew live together in an atmosphere of tension and suspicion. The International Cultural Center for Youth, ICCY, was founded to help young Jewish and Arab children understand each other better. For this reason, Mr. Armstrong has been an enthusiastic supporter of the ICCY for many years. In Jerusalem, a special concert is performed for him by Arab and Jewish children. themselves, the activities of the ICCY cannot solve the problems of this tortured part of the world. But by building friendship and understanding between the children, they are taking a big step in the right direction.
I've lived a long time now. I'll be 92 this month, before this month is out. And I see the handwriting on the wall, and I see the way things are going in the world. And we haven't got much time. And the big job, once we've gone through this crisis and Jesus Christ comes as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and we start the world tomorrow, a new world, and this world is dead and gone. There are many people who are going to survive all of the troubles of the Great Tribulation, and they will have children. And I can see that it's going to take not less than 3 whole generations before we can have world peace. Even after Christ comes, many of you seem to think that we'll have world peace just hocus pocus as soon as Christ comes. It isn't going to be that easy. Something has to cause it. People have to change the way they live before we have world peace, because it's the way people live that's causing all of the trouble today.
And so we must teach our children a different way of life. In the French province of Lorraine, near the little town of Morange, 80 children and teenagers from several European countries enjoy a summer education program, French style. The beautiful countryside of Lorraine is a sobering reminder of the need to prepare for a different world. For in these green fields on the border of France and Germany, Europe's great armies have clashed across the centuries. The Kaiser drilled and paraded his troops here. Then he led them into war, and a generation of young men were slaughtered. After the First World War, the territory was given to France. The French built a formidable barrier, the Maginot Line, to protect their frontiers forever against the enemy. But to no avail. Adolf Hitler promised his people 1,000 years of national greatness as he taught the children the arts of war and sent them to fight his battles. The Nazi legions devastated Europe for 4.5 terrible years before they were pushed back and destroyed by the combined armies of the wartime Allies. Only a few miles from the campsite at Morange is the war cemetery of Saint-Avold. Thousands of American soldiers are buried here. Most were young men, little more than teenagers, victims of a world that did not know the way of peace. It is sobering for the young YOU members to visit this cemetery. No greater contrast could be drawn between the ways of a world held captive by Satan and the way of life that comes from God.